Hello, I'm Binzer Flynn, and welcome to the Flinncast.
I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn all week, and I gotta say, fighting a robot T-Rex was a lot scarier the first time I did it, and now it's just like, oh, robot T-Rex with a bow and arrow. Yeah, I got this.
How does a T-Rex operate a bow and arrow?
No, I'm fighting the robot T-Rex with a bow and arrow.
Oh, now it makes perfect sense.
I'll watch it. I will watch the shit out of that. I won't watch Sharknado, but I will watch that. So
Merida would be deeply offended by the fact that you won't watch Sharknado.
I mean, like, every stupid idea I've ever had makes me feel better to know that not at one point ever did sharks in tornadoes attacking people ever pop into my head.
I've never seen one either, and I watch bad movies and riffs all the time. I've still never seen one of those.
After Sharknado, I was quoted in the Space Channel's press release about it being their highest rated movie they had ever shown.
And isn't there like Lava Spider? And
I'm a big fan of the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, personally. That's one of my favorites.
That's an old one.
So good.
Speaking of tomatoes, hey Mike, you're looking a little red there.
Is your house on fire?
No, you have to come back to Mars and get me. I'm gonna science the shit out of this.
Are you sure? You sure you didn't install like a bunch of infrared lamps just to keep yourself warm or something?
Yeah, I'm really living the Filet-O-Fish life.
I would watch the shit out of The Martian with Bad Apollo. I think that.
Oh man, I would. You know what I'd be doing? I'd be drinking and jacking off. That's all I'd be doing, non-stop.
Well, we can get that in your OnlyFans, and you've got a red filter, so okay, let's talk about the final episode of WandaVision, or as I said earlier, I'm calling it the airing of grievances because this episode has proved to be very divisive to the fans.
Okay, did you like it? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
The whole series was masterfully done, but the journey was better than the destination for me.
We had two iffies. For those who can't see, we had two iffies, and we had the rest thumbs up.
My thing, and this is what we always just say about the X-Files, right? Is even at its worst, it's better than most TV. Right? So
true.
Even though this episode, I didn't love it, I mean, we'll go into everybody's reasons why they felt they did anyway, but even though it was still better than tons of stuff that's out there. So, like, there's that, right?
Did we want to review all the bets that we had last week?
Nope. We should probably go over who got anything right. I don't think I got shit right.
All right, so we had Cryus. By the end of the episode, we get good vision back. Did we? Maybe. And then I had Hayward is ousted and Rambo takes over. Maybe. Maybe that's what the space bench
50%.
Exactly.
Half a point. Half a point.
We had Apollos. Hayward becomes villain, not ousted. Was ousted and arrested, but still could be the villain. We don't know.
0 points.
Vision and kids get out alive. I had a sad face and a question mark.
That's a hard no, yep.
And the house gets destroyed is a full house. I don't know what you meant by that. I was typing really fast. I just had a question mark.
No, that's 3 straight zeros. I give myself 3 straight zeros.
You had one more. Credit scene with Manifesto. I gave you a half a point for this.
That's
because
still a maybe. Yeah, we're going to get to that.
So, Juice had Mind Vision and White Vision duke it out, but then join. Half wrong, kind of maybe. We'll see, because Hayward gets arrested because law's broken. Arrested by Wu. Yes! That was a correct one.
1,000 points.
No Manifesto. Half point. Maybe?
Yeah,
so many maybes.
Again, we're talking about that.
Yeah. Mid or end, we get Strange showing up to train Wanda. Nope. Although I do have a point on that later. Hope I'm wrong, but kids disappear. Disappear, yes, but gone? Your wording is correct. No. The kids did disappear.
And I'm the best type of correct. Technically correct.
Yes. Deadpool, I wish. Spectre becomes superhero. Not yet, but definitely had some good moves there. Merida. Agatha is going to turn out to be good. All I put was, hey.
Now, I did explain.
No.
I do think that later on, she is going to end up having to help.
Oh, come on.
But
No.
Oh, I
All right.
absolutely think so. But
So-
right now, no, she did not.
Yeah,
She was not
no,
good after this.
No. She did teach her something, though.
Yeah. I think she
Vision.
will later. But
We had a Vision, White Vision battle. Yes. And then we had the join, and I had the sad with a question mark because we'll get into that. Anything created in the hex can't get out. I put maybe for that
Mhm.
because you don't know is how White Vision and Vision gets out. But the kids get out. I was like, the kids. I had a question mark. I didn't put that as
Sort of.
wrong because I was like, technically, I guess out leads into Mephisto. Maybe there's a lot of half points here.
Possibly.
Connects to Doctor Strange. Yes. And I'll explain that. Agatha was involved with Doctor Strange to help Wanda. Nope, but she did teach her something at least. After credits scene, who is in witness protection? I have this in purple. It's the only thing that's in purple because we never found out.
Or
We'll
did
have-
we?
Right? Then I had my predictions, which was Vision gets out. And then I put in the, I guess, angry man because, yeah, I guess he got out. Kids get out, sad face, but a whole bunch of question marks.
Yeah.
Hayward stays. Thankfully, I was wrong. Major villain at the last minute. Maybe. So, and then I had Monica doesn't take over but joins Avengers. Maybe. So then we had Vinzers. Find out it's 2008 and it's a Jarvis simulation. Still possible. Vision 2.0. Technically, yeah. Kids survive. Sad faced and question mark. Wanda seemed to die, the tables turn, and Vision takes over as single dad. That doesn't seem like it's gonna pan out.
Missed opportunity.
Major villain reveal in the last second. Manifesto or Kang? I had maybe
Sad.
next to that. Or a major cameo that will segue into major franchise of X-Men or F4. I guess Fietro? Spectrum and Photon certainly seems that way, so I gave that one a yes. And then a Captain Marvel cameo. I wish.
You know, that last one, I would give that a half point. Just because of the mid-credits scene.
Right, yep. That's
Okay.
fair. Alternate blue.
This was my biggest problem with this episode. All those questions and answers, they're all ambiguous. There's no resolution on so many things. And although it was a great episode and it really did work, we as comic book superhero nerds, we need the answers to these questions. Like what the kids, I mean, we're probably going to get back to that. I do think Mephisto's involved, but the thing that really bothered me was, where did White Vision go? He just fucked off. He's got all the memories now, no emotions. Like, at what point are we going to deal with White Vision? Like, in what movie or show are we going to get back to get these answers? Because they're going to have to shoehorn it in somewhere. We're not getting a season 2 here.
I just kind of feel like there were a lot of missed opportunities. Like, honestly, it's like the whole show, like this whole season has been like really cool. Like, they've done really interesting things. They've, just kind of put little clever things in here and there for us to find. Like, and I just feel like the last one, there is some stuff that we came up with that would have been better. I'm just saying. It's like, that would have been more interesting. But I don't know. Like, I mean, I get that they threw in a bunch of red herrings, which is cool. Like, I mean, there's stuff like Dottie. Like, that was a total red herring, right? And that's cool. But don't bring something up like the witness protection guy and don't do anything with it. You know what I mean? Like, just don't make it a throwaway, I guess, is my thing.
The show trolled a lot of people, including us. I'm actually okay with it. There was a lot packed in this series as it was. I mean, Wanda becomes her true self. Vision evolves. We get a new superhero. We get a huge new organization. There was a lot of stuff. I think fans have gotten spoiled a lot recently with big reveals and the way MCU connects everything together with everything else via either mid-credit, after credit, during whatever. If I think we had gotten an X-Men reveal or a Fantastic Four reveal, I probably could guarantee that some people, critics, or whoever had watched this would refer to this series forevermore as the X-Men with special guest star Wanda and Vision. I'm honestly glad they just focused on them for the most part primarily, and used discredited references now to hone rather than and focus rather than take away from their story. I mean, we have got at least 2 years for the multiverses to merge since Disney bought 20th Century Fox, since Phase 4 started. I mean, if they did everything all at once, I'm sure it'd start to warp people's expectations, honestly. I mean, think of it. Disney, Marvel under Disney with Kevin Feige and such, they did an amazing friggin' 10-year journey of Phase 1 through the original Avengers and everything like that. So I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing for the next phase.
So I thought I did a meh ending earlier, and I thought the episode was good as the ending of a superhero show. Like, we had the big couple of 1v1 fights, with the Vision 1 fight didn't really end as a fight. It ended as a philosophical exercise, which is so Vision, because Vision is like the epitome of logic or whatever. But it just, for a show that was a lot of mystery, I guess, there wasn't a lot of that in the last episode. I kind of agree with Juice saying that it was good that they did focus in on, Wanda and Vision as the main characters. But, like, the last episode just felt like, okay, cool, now the heroes fight the bad guys, and they win, because of course they were going to win. And then everything's okay at the end. Some of the things, and like Vinzer was talking about earlier, it's like now they have to wrap these unfinished plot threads in something else. So, like, the kids, cries for help that Wanda hears at the end of the Stinger scene, like, are they going to go find them in Doctor Strange? Like, I just feel like that will take away from whatever story that Doctor Strange is going to try to tell. Or these plot threads are just going to get abandoned, and we're just going to be left wondering in eternity.
I like WandaVision. It's a good show. It's easy to dance to. The lyrics are very a good hook. I would truly like to see this show on my local jukebox. I would give it a Tom Horton number 7 boot. Which, of course, is the best boot, because Tom Horton, if you don't know Tom Horton's been in this county for a long time.
I'm so
His
sorry.
family has come from nowhere, and they decided to make quality boots for you and your friends. Tom Horton was one of those men who looked at a horse and said, listen, that horse is done. But you know what we can do with that horse? We can make a really nice boot out of that horse. And that's what they did. And when you look at a brony at a convention and you see those hooked boots, no, Tom Horton made those boots.
It's the best review of WandaVision I've ever heard.
Yep, hands down.
Poetic. Give this man a column in a newspaper.
What can I say after that? I mean, really, what can I say?
Say something.
Two things. I think what bothered me, actually, I don't even know if bother's the right word, because like I said, I did like it. Like, I absolutely did. I just feel like after all the stuff we had, it was like, yeah. But I feel like it just was another Marvel movie. I guess that was my thing. Like, the end was just another Marvel movie, and I was kind of thinking it was going to go, I don't know, different than just battle big bads and woo. But, not Jimmy Woo, other Woo. And back to the Doctor. The Doctor Strange and the kids thing. The kids actually have been seen on set in London on the Doctor Strange set, so I think probably.
Yeah.
But
I actually liked the ending.
That was like newspaper articles. I'm sorry.
So which ending are you talking about? The main ending, the mid-credit, or the end?
No, I like the way they wrapped up WandaVision, actually. And what I enjoyed about it was I don't think the producers and writers knew how we were going to all jump on it and try to make everything. Like, that we were going to analyze that room down to the square inch to try to figure out everything. And even though a whole bunch of the stuff we predicted didn't come true, it was really fun to try to figure it out along the way and say, oh, there's no sixes, and 6 means this, and oh my goodness, the letter M is missing. So yeah, none of that came to fruition, but it was just so cool to try to figure it out along the way. And even though it didn't happen, it was like, well, it was fun.
So apparently there was supposed to be a different post-credit scene. So Senior Scratchy was actually supposed to change into a demon. They couldn't do the special effects on it, so
they also cut it out because they felt that it drifted too far away from what they were trying to accomplish. So it was a weird side plot.
So it was supposed to be Mr. Boner, Mr. Boner, the kids, and Spectrum. No, and Darcy were all supposed to be in the basement trying to get the vault thing.
The dark hold.
The dark vault.
The dark hold.
Dark hold back. That's it. Sorry. And they, in the end, saw Mr. Scratchy or Senior Scratchy, and the kids were excited, and they were like, "Oh, Senior Scratchy, he's the best!" And then he changes into a demon.
So I was watching a lot of like the Easter egg thingies, and just a couple things that we missed without actually going into the plot. I showed this to Merida that in the Bewitched opening credits in the second scene in the second episode, there was actually, and I'll drop this in the Flinncast chat too, but there was actually an advertisement on the back for Bova milk, which gets into Bova character that delivers their children in the comics. It's a weird, like... Yeah.
Bova's like a cow woman who works for Magneto.
Yeah, it's really weird. And then Auntie A's litter advertisement with a black cat on the advertisement. So they were advertising about Agatha right from the beginning. And also Agatha and Agnes is a short form of Agatha Harkness, which I thought was really cool.
Combined together.
Yeah, and then Red showed up in every single episode, including the first one, because the only time it showed up in the first episode, because it was all black and white, was during the blinking of the toaster during the advertisement. So that still showed up red. I actually missed that the first time around. I was rewatching a few of them. And also in the second episode, Agatha, or Agnes at the time, talks a lot about her husband Ralph. She keeps bringing up her husband Ralph. So just thought that was... Yeah, I did too. Yeah. There was a lot of people comparing WandaVision to Wizard of Oz. As in people...
Especially the last episode.
Yes.
Yeah. People were... Yeah, it's the very obvious at the end of the episode with the boots. But like a lot of characters being brought into another life, and they're playing themselves but as different characters. A lot of like... Just a whole bunch of parallels. I didn't even bother writing them down because honestly, it was just crazy. One thing I noticed, and this is getting into this episode, but I'm just going to throw this out there because it's just kind of a little side thing. Hayward was tracking the visions on the scanner using vibranium seekers, which means that Wanda made vibranium in her world. Mm-hmm.
I don't find that hard to believe, considering she basically created life out of nothing.
Yeah, but she
big.
Specifically vibranium, because it was also tracking the other vision that she created. So it's just something interesting to point out. Yeah.
Sword had possession of Vision's body. We all saw that. Vision died in Wakanda. How the hell did they get Vision's body, billions and billions of dollars worth of vibranium, out of Wakanda and into their basement? How did that happen?
I'm going to assume, I'll throw a theory. I'm going to assume shortly after the snap and the world going into predictable chaos for the first while, I'm sure someone or something was able to take it out, or the Avengers picked up their dead, went back to the U.S. and it was transferred over to Sword from there.
When they think about people being snapped, like it was like when Ant-Man, he was in the quantum universe and everybody that could get him out got snapped. if you're in a military unit where nobody gets snapped, then your role becomes way more important. So, for example, Sword, if by some freak of nature they didn't get snapped as heavy as everybody else, they would be actively pursuing their goals more than anyone else.
And T'Challa would have been gone. So Wakanda would have been in chaos. So I would buy that. That's a good answer.
I think that it's like a little sentimental as well. Like they wouldn't have left him behind. They just wouldn't have left him in the woods. They really wouldn't have. Like they would have been completely broken, but they still would have brought him back. Like there's no way that they just would have been like, well, he's gone.
You know who didn't get snapped was Tony, and he would have had a very sentimental attachment to Vision / Jarvis. So, but yeah, it still beggars the question how Sword got a hold of him.
Do we know if Shuri got snapped or not?
She did. Yeah.
All of Wakanda's leadership would be gone except for Okoye.
Okoye would have been.
I don't think she got snapped.
Nope.
But like all the royals are gone. So like I can see, even because Wakanda at the end of Black Panther announces its location to the world, right? So, and without, T'Challa, the Black Panther, with the fruity juice that makes him the Black Panther, and Shuri, I can imagine them sneaking over the border and grabbing it. I'm curious at the time that this is at the time that they recover Vision's body, is Tony back from outer space yet?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I don't think it's stated in the movie how long he and Nebula are just drifting around in space.
Yeah, I think it was a couple weeks. Yeah, and then Marvel found him, and you can be sure it took them a day or two to get back to Earth after that. So.
So Sword could have already had the body back, and as evidenced by Shuri's comment to Bruce about, well, why didn't you do the synapses this way instead of this way? And Bruce goes, well, we didn't think of that. So without Tony around to try to fix it, / maybe Banner didn't have the technical expertise, whatever. Maybe they just didn't even, I don't want to say they didn't try, but who knows what they tried before. They could all just be like, well, it runs off the Mind Stone, so without the Mind Stone, we're too bad.
So the next thing I want to bring up is that Agnes, for the first 2 episodes, really pushed the whole kids thing to Wanda. So she was really heavily invested. I still don't believe that it's out of the realm that Agnes was working for somebody, or at least like somebody pointed her in that direction. I still really think that she was way too heavily invested in Wanda having those kids for it to just be a coincidence. So in the first 2 episodes, she like really brought it up to her, and then it ended up happening at the end of the second season, second episode. So I really feel like obviously we know the kids play a different part, but I really don't think that the fact that Agnes was really focusing on it was a coincidence.
So I think that could be because at the time, Agnes was testing the limits of what Wanda could do inside of the Hex. So now that we know all of Agatha's backstory, that she was aware of everything the entire time, right? And trying to figure out what spells Wanda was using to do this, etc., etc., etc. I think between the all the jives about kids in the first couple episodes, and then the episode with the kids when she kills the dog and she tries to goad Wanda into bringing the dog back to life. I think that Agnes was trying to push her into trying to figure out the extent of Wanda's powers, basically.
Well, and you also got to realize, though, Wanda originally built the Hex and brought back Vision and everything to try and relive a more simpler life, the life that she remembered with her parents and such like that. So, the trope of having a mother supposed to be having kids, I'm sure was in there too. So I don't think Agatha really had to push that. Really had to push her, if at all, for her to have kids. I'm pretty sure she was going to have them, whether she was going to get pushed or not.
Apparently, they were conceived at the beginning of episode 2, when the beds merged. Apparently, that's when they pinpointed it to be that.
Just gonna say, that's actually an interesting point about her trying to get the doggo to get her to bring the dog back to life. Because if you think about it, So she's probably trying to figure out how she brought Vision back to start with. Did she revive his dead body, right? And then you gotta wonder if that's why she brought Pietro in, because maybe that was to say, hey, look, maybe you brought this dead person back. So maybe there's that necromancy thing that she is particularly interested in. That's an interesting point.
I think Agatha she's obviously pretty powerful, but she had to have been really powerful in order to, I'm willing to accept now that the Quicksilver cameo is sort of a meta thing for fan service, but Quicksilver had superpowers, and that was because of Agatha, and that's no small thing. I thought that was just that was noteworthy that she was able to give Ralph Boner superpowers while he was in the Hex. Like that's a pretty impressive feat.
Also, keep in mind that when Wanda tried to mindfuck Agatha, she pretty much fought right back, and it didn't have the same effect as it did on the other Avengers. So, I mean, in the end, yes, it was a really big, smelly red herring, but at some high level, I still think it's a little significant.
So I just had a theory that is Ralph the cover name and the asset in Westview. The picture looks like a headshot. It wasn't just like his picture. It actually looks like a headshot for either an actor or somebody trying to study their backstory. That was just an interesting little thought.
That was my big thing with Ralph Boner, was the fact that so we know, okay, so you got to look at it this way. So Agnes, through the whole beginning, was starting to talk about her husband Ralph, right? And how Ralph, was lousy in bed, and Ralph this and Ralph that, in the whole 50s wacky neighbor kind of thing. Ralph couldn't have had an actual wife, or she killed the actual wife, but that seems like they would have mentioned that. So Ralph presumably lived alone, right? So I really do think that there's a very high potential that he was the witness. And besides, his name is Ralph Boner. Like, seriously, what? Like, why give somebody that name? It's terrible. I was kind of curious about his necklace too, because like that's like, she did say, I mean, we went back and looked, and she talked about the crystalline entity thing, and then, I mean, obviously he was a real person, because once they pulled the necklace, then he was like, oh my god, thank you, kind of stuff. So like the necklace was clearly controlling him. Was it powering him? Because I mean, she would have known like Quicksilver's powers, like, because everybody knew Quicksilver's powers, right? So it's really, it's kind of clever but kind of evil the way they like put the actor in, but because that person does not exist in this universe, they can just be like, that is just a coincidence, sorry.
I think it was something at the end when everyone's been released from her control, and they just hate her. They hate her so much. Do you know what I mean? Like, no amount of apologizing, no amount of like, oh, I was really traumatized, is going to fix this for these people. So that was really, for me, where, the Scarlet Witch just flies off.
I think whoever Ralph Boner was, I think he chose that name for himself, because when she said Boner, he laughed. And if you think about it, his name is Puke Boner. So this very well could be Quicksilver from the Fox universe, who said, all right, you have to have a fake cover name. You have to go into witness protection. He's like, I want to be Ralph Boner. That's funny. And they might have been like, all right, whatever, you're Puke Boner now. Okay.
Yeah. So I had I just had an interesting thought while Merida was talking. There was no, like, you could see what Monica was seeing, and she was seeing the purple around his collar, but she never saw purple around his speed ever. So true. And anything that was touched by Agatha usually had a purple hue to it. So it was just really interesting to point that out, that the speed might have been his own, to be completely honest.
You mentioned Spectrum a few minutes ago. Did a quick check on her powers, and she's got some good ones. Spectral vision is one. Energy absorption is another. Intangibility, which is a really good one. And the fourth one was move at the speed of light, which I think is going to come into play with Captain Marvel 2, because she's definitely going to be in that. The first post-credit stinger revealed the Skrull, and that she would be basically going up, probably see Talos. And but here's an interesting thing, is that chronologically, we don't see Nick Fury until the end of Far From Home, and that takes place chronologically 6 months after WandaVision. So theoretically, Monica's probably been up on that space station the whole time by the time we see Fury up there.
The main thing I was thinking of, like, now that you mention it, though, we don't know he doesn't have the super speed powers. It's like, we know she controlled him. We know when she took the necklace off, he could be himself, but we don't know that he still didn't have super speed. He could really be. They could be some sort of weird, bizarre cross-universe thing that he did end up there from that, and that's why he was in the witness protection program, because it was some sort of multiverse.
Oh, good point.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh.
Well, this is why I married her, because she reads my mind all the time. Was because I was basically going to say the same thing. Is that maybe that is actually Quicksilver, who has somehow crossed universes and is in the witness protection program, because the Pietro Maximoff in this world, in the Marvel 616, is dead. So he can't just pick up being Pietro Maximoff again. So I feel like the witness protection thing works. And isn't the X-Mansion in like New England somewhere?
Upstate New York.
Type deal? So that's close to Jersey. So, maybe he went for a little bit of a run or didn't want to move too far away from where he was familiar from. New costume is ballin', finally. Somebody pointed out today on Reddit, they were extolling Joss Whedon's faults about Wanda's costume in Age of Ultron, and how it really wasn't, like, there was some low shots and stuff that really didn't need to be there of her in that skirt that she was wearing in that movie, and that the new costume is so much better and more badass than even like her Avengers gear. So that was pretty cool.
Yes, I just wanted to really get on about those boots. These boots are the best boots I've ever worn. I really want you all to know that if you're going to buy another pair of boots, make sure you do get the Tom Horton boots. Available online or with your local Gap dealer.
Finzer,
please buy a pair of boots. It won't let me out of this farm unless I sell some boots.
Finzer, help.
A lot of side-by-side photos been coming up today of Wanda in the new suit next to Magneto, and they do look alike. And some people, eagle-eyed fans, even caught that there are some Vision influences on the suit, like there's a little Mind Stone symbol up near the neck piece. Speaking about Quicksilver, is that I'm willing to accept that if this never goes anywhere and it was just a fun meta fan service thing, that's cool. A lot of people have been comparing it to the Iron Man 3 Mandarin thing. It was just a big fuck you kind of thing. We didn't like, and they never went back and did Mandarin as he was supposed to be. And Mandarin's a pretty big Iron Man villain, a big Marvel villain in general, and they just didn't do that. And I'm writing Quicksilver off here until told otherwise. And the other trivia point was that we noticed she'd never been called the Scarlet Witch before. Apparently, up until the Fox buy, they had the rights to the name the Scarlet Witch, so they couldn't actually use it until now. But now it works out. It's this grand reveal, and it's really cool. Works for the story. But they had Wanda Maximoff, but they couldn't say Scarlet Witch up until this point.
Oh, wow.
So I just had a point further with Ralph. I know we're probably still looking too far into this, but you know what? I'm holding out hope that maybe the witness protection thing will continue on with Falcon and Winter Soldier, because it's like a buddy cop setup. I don't know. Just, it would be a really cool twist. That's my 2 cents on that.
If they find another X-Men actor, then yeah, there's something to it.
Exactly. So a few things was the hexagon was actually surrounding the image of the Scarlet Witch in the Darkhold. So a hexagon goes back to the prophecies. So I actually went back and looked, and yes, in fact, that is true. And then where do we think she went after everything was over when she left Westview? There's a few, it looked like Alkali Lake for like a hot second. I actually stopped.
Oh god.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what?
Merida was like screaming Wolverine for like as they panned in, as they panned into the cabin in the middle of the woods in the mountains. Joey's like, "Is there about to be a Wolverine cameo?"
I think we all had that second.
Wolverine?
But they think that it's actually Sokovia, and the lake that she's sitting next to is the crater that was caused during the meteor fall.
Wow.
And it's the same lake that is what was the bad guy's name in Civil War?
Baron Zemo?
Yeah,
Nemo.
that's actually the same lake that Nemo is sitting on in
Zemo.
sitting by. Zemo, thank you. I was like, I know it's not Nemo. I can't remember.
Finding Baron Nemo.
So Zemo has it's the next one he's sitting next to, because he's actually sitting next to the Sokovian Memorial.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
wherever she did end up, very much paralleled the end of the Incredible Hulk, where Banner's learning to always be angry, therefore always turned on again. So there you go. And it looks like she's really starting to figure out her powers, because I mean, by that final credits scene, I mean, she's already figured out how to do the astral plane. So she either reads that dark code incredibly fast, or she already knew how to do it, one or the other.
So 2 parts. So building on what you said, she's even astral projecting better than Doctor Strange did, because Doctor Strange had to be laying down and immobile while he astral projected. She is like reading the Darkhold in astral form while still operating her regular body. So like that's super cool. That means that she, her mental control, or whatever you really want to call it, exceeds Doctor Strange, which is what Agatha says, that her powers can surpass the Sorcerer Supreme, which is really cool. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that Raina's point about how it could be, a mountain range in Sokovia near the crater, which could tie to Baron Zemo, because Baron Zemo is the bad guy for Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is the next thing that comes out.
So there are theories around that Scarlet Witch could be like a separate entity within Wanda. Like it could be like a split personality. I mean, there was some, she was trying to ignore the outside world when she was in the show, to the point where she actually probably up until the 3rd episode, she kind of forgot the extent of her powers. When she blew Monica out of the hex, she kind of looked at her hands and she was like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, she kind of forgot the extent of her magic. And it was, she could have been blocking it out, but the fact that Scarlet Witch kind of came into her own may or may not have caused like a split a little bit, maybe like a Phoenix style split. So there's just some theories around that she knows that that's happening, but the Scarlet Witch is like the astral projection aspect.
That leads right into what I was going to say, is that I really hope they don't do that Scarlet Witch is some dark force and Wanda's a separate entity, because we've done it ad nauseum with the Phoenix. We don't need it again, especially if X-Men stuff's coming into this universe. I'm all for Wanda running amok and unintentionally being this world destroyer thing, but it needs to be her. It needs to be a product of what happened to her trauma, whatever. It does not need to be another Phoenix Force, because we've had it so many times. Same way with Batman's origin, Spider-Man's origin. Been there, done that. Let's move on.
So I was just going to say, that's an interesting. Somebody brought up the Phoenix Force. I'm like, who wins in a fight, Jean Grey or Wanda Maximoff?
Wanda did say no more mutants.
I mean, the rest of us lose. Let's get that really obvious. But I'm actually curious who wins between the Phoenix Force and the Scarlet Witch.
I don't know who any of those people are.
I've been kind of wondering whether when she saw the Mind Stone and she ended up theoretically as the Scarlet Witch and she saw everything, I'm wondering then if she was a mutant, like, because the way they're kind of backtracking a little bit, I'm wondering if she had the mutant powers. Agatha did say, that it would have died out, this little dormant thing that would have died out. So I'm just kind of wondering whether that's if she's a mutant as well and it can roll it in. And I actually think Scarlet Witch would win, because in the end she wiped out a whole ton of mutants.
So there's a theory that the book could be a Horcrux or the Keeper of Mephisto. And the thing is that because it was drawing on her energy, not just Agatha, but it was drawing on red energy. while it was inside the hex. So was it drawing on her energy to try to bring Mephisto or Manifesto, as we've
Manifesto.
lovingly come to call? Is it trying to manifest Manifesto? So that was a theory that's been going around. There's no real evidence that Agatha was drawing her energy this entire series, just kind of at the end, but she still was losing energy, and that could have been because she's spreading herself too thin, but it started happening before the hex expanded. So that was just something to think about.
So on the Darkhold, this is not the first appearance of the Darkhold in the MCU. It actually first showed up in S.H.I.E.L.D., then the Runaways, then Cloak and Dagger, and now in WandaVision. So that book has been around a lot. We've actually gotten sort of Mephisto or mentions of Mephisto when they did a season with Ghost Rider. So
I was just wondering if they were thinking really far ahead and that Wanda's red power and the ability to alter reality was in any way a parallel with the reality Infinity Stone being red. I was just wondering about that. And I saw a very funny thing today. As usual, all the wisest and most insightful stuff comes from memes on Instagram. It says, how are you all going to be angry at Wanda creating her own reality when that's technically what Captain America did when he went back in time to be with Peggy Carter?
That's actually an interesting thing when you said about Mephisto drawing her energy, and then also when she was going, when she was the stinger scene that we saw, because that could tie Mephisto into Doctor Strange if we're working on the theory that this and the kids and everything are tied into Doctor Strange, because maybe this is actually when Mephisto ends up in the kids. Like, maybe this is how she gets them back. Maybe this is him saying, I can do this, but it's got to work this way. Or, I'm just wondering, because, that is, it's kind of, they don't have to do everything canon. She has to make a deal with the devil, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what really makes me sad when I think back on it? Clark Gregg was not involved any way in any of the Marvel stuff after Avengers. They brought him back to life in S.H.I.E.L.D., and then he never saw any of them ever again, despite being the one that brought them all together in the first place.
Yep.
So it's like we went all of phase 2 and 3 without Clark Gregg popping into anything, and it makes my inner Agent Coulson fan sad.
Injustice.
Okay, so Vinzer has heard me rant many a time about this, that the fact that none of the Avengers got closure on the fact that Agent Coulson was still walking around. Like, Tony died thinking that Agent Coulson was gone. A lot of them left, like Captain America left, grew old, and he basically died or is living as an old man now thinking that Agent Coulson was gone. But we've got basically all the Avengers thinking that Coulson is gone, and there's no closure with that. That is one loose end that has really bugged me, because that would have been just even a funny moment of him, like, walking with his crew through the background of, like, something going, hey, and then just keep going and leaving them to all go, wait, what? And then, Fury just goes, well, I'll explain it later. And then they just get back to it on some side that we don't see. Sad.
And it's too late to do it now. And I'm not giving I'm not giving away any spoilers here at all. It's just the joke. If they were going to do that joke, it should have been done by now. If they do it now, too many people will be like, I don't really get it. It's just, well, they would get it, but it wouldn't work now. Without
Tony, it wouldn't have the same punch. So
I think it could still work with Thor. I think it could still work with Thor, but like I said, I think the jokes it should have been done by now if it was going to be done at all.
Here's hoping that in Captain America's alternate universe, he signed those damn trading cards. Man, I remember when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was coming out first, and I was like, oh, this is going to be really cool that there's going to be like a TV show off to the side that's going to like intertwine with the movies. And they do the whole Winter Soldier thing with the Triskelion and all that jazz, and it was really cool. And then they just kind of all it up and, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to go off on our own. Like, because in my mind, like, that was just after, I guess, Winter Soldier. So there's tons of stuff after that. Like, they could have had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. dealing with... I mean, I don't know if they did or not, because I haven't watched past probably season 4, maybe. Daisy had her powers, but that was about it. Like the Marvel TV offerings tried to pull a CW and it didn't really work. As well as the CW, the Arrowverse. They tried to pull an Arrowverse and it didn't work. Like they had the Netflix verse, and then they had the New Mutants and the whatever, all those like Cloak and Dagger and all those other ones, and it didn't work as well as the Arrowverse did.
The Netflix one was working. That was working. Like when they were
for sure. Yeah.
That one worked. Like that formula that they were using for that definitely worked, but it did not translate to cable TV like at all.
And the casting for all the Marvel Netflix shows is really good. I mean, Iron Fist was a little annoying, but like the guy playing Luke Cage, you got Charlie Cox's Daredevil, Jessica Jones. Like I think if Marvel can bring them in somehow, they should, because they were all great.
Yes.
Like even the supporting characters were really good. Colleen Wing was really good. Like Rosario Dawson was Nurse Claire in all of them, and she was fantastic through all of it. I mean, I do regret, like, I wasn't the biggest fan of Iron Fist, but when he and Luke Cage teamed up, that's when it started working. I was like, man, heroes for hire, let's do it. Like, their dynamic was hilarious. But I always thought Iron Fist would have worked. I see why they didn't do the mask, but if they had let him wear a Bruce Lee 70s style jumpsuit when he was kicking ass, I would have gone for that.
So to take things back a little bit, what do we think happened to the children? I've got children disappeared, but we didn't see them go down with the hex. So where are they? Are they with Manifesto? I can't even call him the proper name. Like, I'm gonna get called out so hard if I ever say this at a convention outside of this podcast. Bodies disappeared. It doesn't mean their essence of spirit did. Remember, they were always outside of her control.
So, I mean, obviously they disappeared with the hex. I mean, when the house disappeared and we don't see them, they're gone. But, I mean, that end credit episode when the kids were yelling, you're right, some part of them. Well, no, I'm going to do two theories. Either A, some part of them is somewhere in the multiverse of madness, which is going to lead into the next Strange movie, none of that. Or their illusions or brain farts or whatever being made to lure Wanda into something in order to get her to do terrible things, which also then leads into the next Strange movie and goes from there. One or the other.
We know the kids are gone, but we don't know. We know they weren't in the house when the house came down. We don't know where they went, though, before that happened. And like you had said that she didn't have control of the kids. Like she was surprised when the kids had powers, right? Like she didn't give Wiccan his powers, and so I think she had the desire to have kids, but I don't think she made those kids.
She's advanced the kids to the point where her and her brother were exposed to the bomb. So she brought her children forward to the same point of development that they were at when they were trapped by the Tony Stark bomb. And are they going to show up again? Yep. They're going to show up again in another movie or some other show.
I think Manifesto I think he's been watching the whole time, and now that Wanda has become full power, he sees her as the key to his return to this plane, and he snatched those kids knowing he could use them to leverage her. And now that's why the kids are calling out for her. So I think the plot of Multiverse of Madness is going to have somehow mixed up with it's because it's got to be Doctor Strange's movie. He's got to be the hero. It cannot be a Wanda Doctor Strange team up until the very end. So Wanda has got to be this loose cannon that's going to be almost a villain because she's basically helping Mephisto to get her kids back, and Doctor Strange has to stop Mephisto from returning to the world, and at the same time help Wanda save her kids. So there's your Doctor Strange 2 plot right there. That's my theory.
Yeah, agreed.
There's something, there were theories that Agatha was actually encouraging the aging, because right before the first time they age, you see her spraying an essence of lavender on the babies. Was she actually spraying essence of lavender? Who knows? Maybe it had lavender in it to cover up the smell of whatever witchy stuff went in there. But maybe, like, right before they age for the first time, the last time you see them as infants, you see her spraying something to kind of calm them down. And then afterwards, all of a sudden, they are not infants anymore.
Agatha's whole thing was learning how Wanda did what she did, and those kids are the ultimate form of Wanda's power and creating something from nothing. If Agatha could learn how to basically create life, she could like create her own minions, like creating something out of nothing. I think that's her only interest in the kids was how did you do that? Because I want to know how to do that.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Like she was used to going through the ages as being the most powerful too, and then suddenly to find out, hey, wait a minute, somebody else can do things I can't do, would piss her off. But I think you're right with the creating life, but I think it's also creating life and bringing somebody back from the dead. Like I think those are maybe the two things that she's kind of interesting. Because if you think about it, those are like kind of pretty powerful, probably.
So where do we go from here?
In 2 weeks, we're going to get Winter Soldier, and we're going to get Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's going to be, I think, your standard spy thriller / buddy cop movie, whatever you want to call it. And then a couple weeks after that, then we start getting into time travel and probably other universe stuff with Loki. So yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing Wanda again until at least Strange.
Wait. That new Superman show is really good.
Yes, it is.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to come up. Like we might get some Sokovia references with Baron Zemo, but I don't think anything in Falcon Winter Soldier, or anything in Loki is going to tie into this at all. So I think this whole plotline gets shelved until next spring. I think when Multiverse of Madness comes out.
I feel like that they really enjoy tormenting us, honestly, and
The long con
connecting things for us. Yeah, so I don't know that we won't. I don't think there'll be anything blatant like in it, but I think there might be like little connections if the timelines work. And I'm terrible with timelines. Like that's a really hard thing for me to work out who's where. But if the timelines work, like I think with Falcon and Winter Soldier, like I don't know that they will, because I think part of that is going to be the whole buddy cop thing, and I don't think they mesh. But I mean, Loki is there's going to be a whole bunch of weird, not parallel university stuff going on with that too. So maybe
there's going to be a lot of weird shit with Loki, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Or if nothing else, we might get more connection into the Doctor Strange movie from that anyway.
Yeah.
WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Loki, it's all about laying the foundations for Phase 4. So where we got a nice big piece with WandaVision now, we keep thinking we know what we're going to get with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we think we know what we're going to get with Loki, and I'm telling you right now, we're not. We're going to get stuff that we didn't expect, stuff that we didn't think of, and they're all going to be big puzzle pieces for Phase 4. I mean, I would be perfectly content with Falcon and Bucky, just driving each other nuts for 6 episodes, but there's just going to be so much more to it because we are laying the planks for Phase 4. That is the purpose of these 3 series, and I can't wait. I don't know where we're going from here, but I can't wait to get there.
I'm going to throw it out there. I don't think Loki is going to be involved in this at all. I think it's his own thing because remember, this is a complete alternate timeline. Like, he got away. He's supposed to be dead right now.
That's laying a plank for the multiverse too, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got away and he's doing his own thing. So I'm not sure how, I mean, it might lay planks, but I don't think it's going to be I think it's going to be kind of its own little standalone, and things afterwards might relay back to it, but I don't know how involved he's going to be. Although I would love to see it, because I would love to see a reunion with like old Loki and sad Thor. Like I
think that's going to happen. I really do. Someone raised a great point that the only reason this Loki show is happening is because the Hulk had to use the stairs.
So I've got a thing. So first I want to start off with a question because I can't remember. Was there stingers or mid-credits or whatever from Far From Home? It's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I don't remember if there were after-credit scenes, and what were they about?
It was Fury in space, and his body double was actually a Skrull down on Earth.
J. Jonah Jameson, the big reveal, Spider-Man's identity is made public, which again, I think they're thinking a lot far ahead, because in the comics, Peter Parker's identity became public, and who made everyone forget? Mephisto.
So the next Marvel movie to come out that isn't the next Marvel movie to come out in the timeline is No Way Home. The new Spider-Man movie comes out in December. So that's the next one in the timeline, which I think is going to be really interesting. It'll be back-to-back Spider-Man movies in the MCU without anything in between from a timeline perspective. So I'm curious what they're because they've been talking about all the different Spider-Man. I'm wondering if the No Way Home reference is some kind of multiverse thing, because it's been reported that all the other Spider-Mans are coming back to reprise their roles in some way, shape, or form.
Couple things, you guys have said it a couple times tonight. Deals with the devil, Mephisto being the devil. He is the devil of the MCU. But there are now 2 people that we can name already who have something who Mephisto can do something for. So that's really interesting that he can be like, hey, I can make all this go away. Or, hey, I can give you your children back. But what is going to be the cost?
Do we have any final thoughts on WandaVision?
The last episode was the weakest of all of them.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like Vinzer said at the start, the journey was better than the destination.
What a journey. I'm dying to know where White Vision went.
Maybe he'll show up in Armor Wars with Rhodey.
Paul Bettany's not off the hook yet. And Paul Bettany, that son of a bitch, it actually, he's like, oh yeah, all the fans were thinking it could be Patrick Stewart or Doctor Strange or whatever. That's a good idea. They're going to be pretty mad when they find out it's me. Yeah, we're mad, Paul Bettany. We love you, but we're still mad.